East, from Africa, due to all of those factors that I mentioned in the beginning that have really uprooted people, right? And so my students are paired with different community organizers in Greece, and they exchange stories with one another. So the people they're paired with in Greece exchange different stories with my students, who then exchange stories with them. And oftentimes, my students in this course are often from immigrant and refugee backgrounds themselves, including some of the transfer students that take this course. And so this project really becomes an opportunity for people to kind of learn about these issues in a very creative and much more interactive way, and to make new connections, make new friends, right? Both in their own communities and halfway across the world. Rather than just sort of this class being an academic, class. Of course, we have academic readings and things like that, like any other class, but we're really trying to think about these issues outside of the classroom as well, hence where this project comes in. And so how the project works is that first, our refugee partners in Greece record their own oral histories about different activities that they've taken part in as part of the movements that they're a part. So for example, we've had people talk about an arts festival that they organized in Athens. We've had our partners talk about an organization that they founded called the Syrian Greek Youth Forum, which does different kinds of community building activities, like, having a face shield making initiative during the COVID pandemic to, deliver face shields to both Greek citizens and immigrants and refugees. And so they share these stories with different student groups, and then the students listen to these stories and are able to start a conversation with their partners. And then for their contribution, the students interview, do their own oral history interview. So oftentimes they'll interview a family member, or they'll interview, a community member here in Salt Lake that they work with, or that they're friends with, or that is a neighbor, right? And these are all stories which really, again, center refugee and immigrant experiences here in Salt Lake, here in Utah, in our own community. And they record interviews with people that they choose, and they share those interviews with their partners in Greece. So it becomes this two-way connection. And here you can see this photo that we took in, well, actually it just changed, but before it was, this photo of students from our class in 2019, which was the first year that we did the project. And I'm on the right there. And, this was really the first year that these students interviewed their own friends and community members about their experiences as immigrants and refugees, and shared those stories with their partners in Greece. And these are some images from our partners in Greece. You can see this is like a protest in Athens. It says Black Lives Matter, Refugee Lives Matter. And so the hope is that through this project, not only do the students in this class, including the transfer students, have a very kind of positive experience and a very hands-on experience learning about these issues beyond the classroom, but also it's a way to make these global connections about immigrant rights and migrant justice. Because one of the things that we really emphasize in this class and kind of explore a lot is why a global approach to these questions, a global approach to this struggle is needed. A global approach to immigrants' rights is needed. And so creating these connections between the US and Greece, I think, becomes really, really exciting to see how those connections can be made. And, if you go to and I'll, put this in the chat as well, the web link, the URL, but if you go to, you can also see what previous students have said about this project. If you go to the collaborators page on the site, here we have linked an interview that the library, the University Marriott Library did with us about the project the first year that we did it. Because the library actually gave us a lot of resources to do this project, including, giving us a lot of, having a lot of staff at the library work with us to get this website up and running. And to, the technology aspect of sharing these interviews, through this website. But if you go and look at that interview that the library did, you'll see different, impressions and sort of the thoughts of the students about this project and this course that they took, and how it really impacted them. So that's a little bit about this course. And we are almost at capacity as well. If anybody, wants to sign up for this course, we do still have, a limited number of like spaces available. But, obviously, if you can't take it this year and you're staying on at the U, hopefully since you all are transfer students, you will be staying on for more than just this year. So I would definitely love to see you all next year in this class as well. So please, let me know if you do have an interest to sign up this year. If we can accommodate everybody, since we do have a limited number of spaces available, we'll definitely please sign up next year. I would love to see you all in the class. And one last thing is that the class satisfies the IR requirement for the general education requirements that everyone has to have at the U. So IR, the international requirement, is satisfied by this course. And lastly, this isn't the only exciting course that we teach in ethnic studies. We teach a lot of exciting courses about a lot of different issues that Dr. Toth raised, about social movements, how people really fight against the forces of oppression that they face to create more just communities, societies, more just world. So some of those courses that we offer, I'm going to, I have the list of courses here, and a lot of them are very, very interesting. African American experiences, Chicano and Latinx experiences, American Indian experience, Asian American experience, Pacific Islander American experience. We also just recently launched a Pacific Islander Studies certificate, which is very, very exciting if people are interested in that. Indian law and policy, as you see, ethnic minorities, reproductive justice, really thinking about feminist movements around reproductive justice and reproductive rights, how they intersect with racial justice, histories of Pacific, and that's my class, Borders and Migration, American Indian women, ethnic American story making, which is taught by Professor Kimberly Ju, who is joint appointed in the theater department, thinking about exciting intersections with arts and theater, which is exciting as well. Race, religion, spirituality, Native American media and film, which is another very, very exciting course. I want to take a lot of these courses actually. Thinking about exploring different films that Native American directors and artists have created over the years. Race and ethnicity in Latin America, Asian American politics. So these are all the courses that we're just offering this semester, and we offer other courses in other semesters too. So if any of those struck your interest, I really encourage you to check them out. You can always email me and come to my office hours. And I'm always, like I said, I have worked closely with Paul in the past to support transfer students at the U. This course is something that I really care about, but even beyond this course, I always want to support transfer students at the U as much as possible. So, my door is always open as well to direct people to resources and to support people in whatever way I can. So, I think that was all I had. And I'll put in my information in the chat. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gandahari. And just want to mention from my years of, I did academic advising specifically for transfer students. So one of the things, just so you're aware of, so when Dr. Gandahari mentioned that the politics of borders and migration is an international requirement, one of the things that, just so everyone is aware, so when you transfer, let's say you have an associate's degree, you get all your general education, like your humanities, your fine arts, your math, your social behavioral science. But the University of Utah has additional graduation requirements that are called bachelor's degree requirements. And so as a transfer student, you wouldn't have the international requirement, which is in Dr. Gandahari's class. And then in Christy's Toss class, it's the upper division writing, which is the CW. And so that's another requirement that her class has that is not fulfilled by an associate's degree. So I just want to make sure that, and that's one of the reasons why we definitely wanted to mention that there are some things that you still have to do for every major. And that's obviously why the transfer courses have gone for those. Part of the reason why the transfer courses have gone for those requirements is that you will still need them as a transfer student. And so we'll move on again to Martha, and thank you so much for everyone who's spoken already.
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Martha Hernandez. I work in the Center for Equity and Student Belonging, also known as CESB. So in what our center essentially is, we are a center that focuses on advocating for students. That includes their academic success, as well as creating a space and a sense of community and belonging. So in CESB, some of the things that you can anticipate in being able to access include student leadership and involvement opportunities. So we have 5 different umbrella groups in CESB. These include the so I'll go in alphabetical order. The Asian American Student Association, ASA, Black Student Union, which is BSU. There's also Intertribal Student Association, ITSA, MECHA, which is the student group for Latinx and Chicanx students, as well as Pacific Islander Student Association. So any and all students are welcome to join the 5 student groups in CESA. You don't necessarily have to identify with any particular ethnic identity. So before I go on, let me share my screen with you all. Oh, it looks like it's not letting me. All right. Since it looks like it's not allowing me to do that, I will put it in the chat. So the website is diversity.utah.edu/CESB and then another /. So what I wanted to show you today on the website is the transfer page. So for the transfer program, which is the program that I now manage after Paul sadly left, but he's still here doing a lot of wonderful work with transfer students. So the program is taking a new turn where I am now collaborating with Julia Soto, who is one of our program coordinators in CESB. So we are now calling the program the Second Year Experience times Transfer Fusion program. And in this program, we are focusing on providing one, academic advising for transfer students, as well as connecting students with resources at the University of Utah. So what this looks like is whatever issues or any questions that students might have. Thank you, Paul, for pulling up the website.
Yeah, and then I'm sharing my screen, so if you want to tell me any particular page, I can put it on there.
Perfect, thank you. Could you please go to the transfer page? Should be under programs and initiatives up at the top, right there. Yeah. Drop down, yeah. Oh, is that the EDI one? Oh, okay. You might have to scroll down a little. Right before the pictures, sorry. It's in the middle. Yeah. Thank you. So something else that we focus with the SYE and the transfer program is to provide mentorship for students. So mentorship can look like connecting you with a practicing professional who is now in the field that you are interested in majoring in, or a field that you know you will major in. We might also pair you up with a graduate student if you are interested in attending graduate school right after you graduate. So it depends on what route students are hoping to take, whether it's the professional route right after graduation or graduate school. We also help students, and it depends, it's kind of a case-by-case sort of scenario. So for those students who might not be entirely sure on what to major in, what they want to do, we have kind of a guidebook that helps you strategize your life plan. So we help you kind of identify your values, your goals, so that you can then be able to pick something that you know calls to you. Another component of the SYE and the transfer program is that we function as a cohort. So we promote a lot of networking. We also make sure to connect you with students in their third, fourth, maybe fifth years, just because a lot of times students have a lot of insider knowledge, right? They have taken classes recently. They might know which classes to recommend, which classes, you know, they might have struggled in. They have all that kind of knowledge. So we help you connect with other students to, you know, find and create a sense of community on campus. So the SYE Times Transfer Program Fusion offers a 1-track and a 2-track option. So the option that has just started is the 2-track option, meaning that it's for fall and the spring semester. The application closed, but we are still taking students' applications because we know that with the change from being virtual to now being in person, there's a lot of getting adjusted to being on campus. So we're still taking applications for any students, for anyone that might be interested. So yeah, this is the one that Paul is showing, the track 2. This is for spring and fall semester. Track 1 is mostly geared for students who are transferring to the U in the spring. So this would only entail, it would be half of the program pretty much, but we get to do a little bit of everything. I highly recommend for those of you who are already here at the U to join the 2-track program, as it will, you know, provide a lot of useful resources. Another thing that I wanted to mention is where we're located. So CESB is in the 2nd floor of the Union Building, room 235, right across from ASUU. So if you have time right after this event, you are welcome to stop by. We're in the office. I might also swing by and say hello to you all in just a few minutes. But yeah, definitely stop by and see the space, because another thing that we offer is a lounge. So the lounge is used by students just to spend time in between classes, maybe socialize, maybe do a little bit of studying. There is a microwave and a fridge, and that's all for student use. So some of our students like to bring their lunch, and they eat in the lounge and they meet other folks. So you are welcome to do that. Yeah, and just kind of, you know, get to know the staff that we have in CESB.
Thank you, Martha. So we have about 10 minutes left. So I know that a couple of things, so I'll keep an eye on the chat, but if anyone has any questions, you can kind of either write it in the chat, or if you're in person, just shout out loud and we can help answer those. And then also we had Emily, who is the president of the Crimson Transfer Honor Society, speak at the beginning. And then Tenny is joining us virtually and can say just a couple of things that he's been working on at CTHS, but we want to have some questions first. So does anyone have questions? Really, the way that I set this up was I wanted to make sure people are aware of opportunities for transfer students, particularly kind of as you come in. I know that I think for us, in terms of the transfer workshop, how are you supposed to know about these unless somebody tells you? So this is our attempt to tell you about it. So definitely, feel free. I know everyone who was on the panel is amazing. Is really happy to help like answer back. So they all definitely mean it when they say like, please email me. So one advice I would give is, as a former academic advisor, is email everyone, reach out, stop by. They do really mean it. And I think these are some of the best faculty and staff that work specifically with transfer students on campus. So any questions? Buddy, I'm looking. Anyone have any questions here? Yes.
Yeah, when was the orders migration class? What time?
So Dr. Gandahari, I have a question of when does the Borders and Migration class meet? What are the days and times?
Yes, it's 2 p.m. to 3:20, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's in the business classroom building 204.
Thank you. Thanks for your question. Any other questions? I don't see anything in the chat. Anyone else? We got a lot of people and they're all quiet. So, but you're still here. So I hopefully means that you're definitely engaged. Tinny, just want to say like 1 minute about kind of some of the fun stuff you're doing in CTHS. And then, yeah. And for the people in person, we're in the Union Den. We're on the first floor. So if you're virtual and you're actually close by, come visit us. Otherwise, come by and talk to us after. And if you want to stay on the chat for a little longer, if students have like personal questions, I'm going to ask for the virtual ones. But yeah, thank you so much. Tinny, are you there? I see that you're joined.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, yeah, my name is Tenny Anderson. I am the Vice President of Service and Volunteer Events in the Crimson Transfer Honor Society. And I've been in the group, so I've got crazy dogs. And we've got a lot of service events coming up. We've got a cleanup that we're going to be doing in the canyon coming up, I think October 9th, was it, Paul?
Yes, October 9th.
Okay, and then we also have the Legacy of Lowell service event, and that's going to be coming up pretty soon. Do you remember the date of that one, Paul?
Yes, it's September 11th. And for people in person, Emily, who's the president, will be going. So you can talk to her.
Yeah, but in the Crimson Transfer Honor Society, we've been doing a lot of planning to get a lot of service events coming up this fall. It's a great opportunity for a lot of people who are planning on grad school because it gives you a lot of ways to kind of get involved at the University of Utah. I'm a transfer student, and this is my, I think, third semester at the U, but this is only my first one in person on campus. So it's been kind of cool to have something like the Transfer Honor Society to segue me into the social aspect of the school, as well as things like volunteer opportunities to kind of help me get engaged in the community. We also have a lot of cool events that are going to be helping people just get more advice on things like mentoring and hearing from grad students and alumni and their experiences. And yeah, we'd love to have you guys check it out. Anyone who's interested, we'd love to have you. And the requirements to be in it, they're pretty easy. Let me pull those up. Paul, you sent them over to me earlier.
Yeah, they're to attend 2 transfer workshops. And so you're already at 1. So you're halfway there for that part. And then the other part is to get a 3.5 GPA in your first 12 credit hours. So everyone is eligible because no matter what your GPA was before, as long as you get a 3.5 when you come, then you're great. And then we're here to support that. We're trying to offer a lot of resources and mentoring. And then again, if you're a part-time student, so you take 6 credit hours in fall and 6 in spring, we'll add those 12 credit hours together. So you can be part-time and be eligible as well. And so for Tinny, I see in the chat, since you're on, it says, what are your recommendations for finding friends and community in a new environment? Do you have any suggestions since you're a transfer student?
Yeah, so like I said, this is going to be my first semester in person up at the U, and I think getting engaged and making friends and getting out in the community has always been something I didn't push myself too hard for, because I saw school as just kind of a strictly academic thing before I switched to my current major, which is pre-med. And it wasn't until coming to the U that I saw the opening for the position at CTHS and kind of realized that I think the only way I'm ever going to really experience that is by pushing myself out of my comfort zone and giving it a try. And so I guess my recommendation for it is to just give it a chance and just push yourself out of your comfort zone to come to an event, or see if there are some people in it that you kind of click with. So we have a huge variety of people, and we're going to be doing a lot of really fun, just kind of low stress events, like going up in October to walk the canyon, just because that's when the colors are going to be really good. And I think it's just going to help us build a good community in the organization, and then kind of we can help each other get involved in the community and give advice on service projects and help out in any way we can. Do you have anything, Paul?
No, I thank you for that, Tinny. I appreciate it. I would say, oh, Emily, do you have something you want to say?
Somebody was just talking about like how to make friends on campus and like just go there. Okay, I'm on my way.
Just so everyone can see, Emily, who's the president, has some suggestions too.
Hello, I'm Emily. I got like Cheeto in my hand. But one of the best ways to make friends on campus is your classmates, setting up like a group me for everybody in the class to join, and coming up with study groups. You'll be spending like 4 months with these people, so it is a great way to start making friends on campus. And a lot of times you'll find that you actually will have several classes with them throughout your time here. So that is one great way to make friends that you will find yourself around anyways. Also joining clubs like being in the Crimson Mentor program or the Crimson Transfer Honor Society. Going to the events, you'll meet other people. That is one of the best ways to make friends. There's the Crimson Kickoff tomorrow, I think from 4 to 6. That is going to be a great place to meet some new people and start, making some friendships. So, thank you guys.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate that. And I saw that we're almost out of time, but Martha has some great suggestions, as well as visiting her and CESB. And then again, you can visit me in orientation and transition. And then, Dr. Toth, Dr. Gandahari are in writing rhetoric studies and ethnic studies. So hopefully this gives some new opportunities, some new connections you might not have been aware of. And then there was a question about Dr. Toth being available to chat individually. I know for in person, she's here. I don't know if you're close by, because it was in the chat.
Or I can hop on Zoom.
Yeah, she can hop on Zoom or, email her. So yes, Dr. Toth is amazingly available. And I said that publicly, but, yeah, she's great. And she definitely, and the same with everyone else on this panel. So
Can I say one more thing quickly about making friends too?
Yes.
So I know when I was I'll just make you can too. When I was in college, I kind of thought like the point was to do really well in your classes. And it's not that the point is not to do really well in your classes, but my folks were in the military their whole careers and didn't really know how to do any other job or how to get any other kind of job. And they didn't know to explain to me, and nobody else explained to me when I was in college, that actually a huge part of getting from earning those credits, getting the degree, to then getting into the field you want to go into, getting the kind of jobs you want to get into, it involves a lot of human relationships. And a lot of those relationships are relationships you make while you're in college with your classmates, with your professors, with other people that are connected to the university that will be willing to meet with you, in part because you're a student here and you're reaching out to them and you have that kind of alumni connection. So I know there's so much going on, and work and family in addition to school. And sometimes it seems like social relationships here are a luxury that you might not feel like you have time for, but it's actually so important for being, I mean, not just the first job after college, but the job 5 years after college or 10 years after college is often you make those connections because of people you met in school. And I know in Writing Studies Scholars, that's a big part of what we do, is that it's not just, it's about the classes, but it's also about the community of people studying similar things that can be a longer term network. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case that's not like something that anybody, you know, has mentioned to you all before, because nobody told me, and it really would have made a difference for me for like my entire 20s if I'd understood that that was part of what I was supposed to be doing in college. So.
Thank you, everyone. So just kind of to kind of end, I'm going to put again, there is a attendance link. So I'm putting it again. And then for people in person, there's a tablet in the back that if you just put your UID. So people in person, go sign into the tablet. People online, I just put in the chat. As we're kind of ending, again, please feel free to reach out. One of the kind of additional follow-ups is what if you have a hard time talking to people in general? I would say that is me. I also have a hard time, but I think Tenny and a lot of people gave great examples of trying to push yourself out of your comfort zone, I think is helpful. And I think for me, I've done in the past a lot of student group advising. And so I think one of the things that was important for me as an advisor that I saw was that giving people the opportunity, like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to be president, or I don't know if I'm ready to do this position, saying, no, you can do it, we're here to help. And then almost always people rise to the occasion and do well. So I would say, like, it's hard. I think one of the greatest advice I got was as a graduate student was I was having a hard time writing my dissertation, and everyone I was like, it's so hard. Like, and then I asked people who were my thought were the best writers I knew, and they all told me, yes, it's hard. It's so unfortunately it's tough, but you know, we want to help make this as supportive environment as possible. Oh yeah, and then let's see, Brock, so I just put it in the chat. If you can't see, I'll put it one more time. If you don't see it, please send me an email. My email is just my name, so it's paul.fisk, F-I-S-K, and we can make sure that you get connected. If you don't see this, it's just a kind of a really long get involved link for the people online. But we're out of time. I really appreciate everyone coming. And then, yeah, please feel free to come talk to us if you're in person, or if you're nearby, come visit us as well. And yeah, so when you click on the RSVP, it should say like your attendance was recorded for the people online. So you should be all good, but feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email here in the chat, and I can double check that you did actually get signed in for attending the workshop today. But yeah, thank you so much. And then if you're around, I don't know how far people are. We have some snacks, so come grab it. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Paul.
And then I'll talk to you over here. So
Sure.
Hello.
Hey there, how's it going?
Oh, good. Thank you for taking a second. I wasn't
sure.
sure if this mode would work, but
course.
I just had some questions because currently I'm enrolled and declared my major for political science and my minor sociology.
Mhm.
One of my classes is the political form series. It does cover